Hi everyone, I am back here to share another flip through of a journal that I made. This is my fall JIYA journal, which stands for Journal into Your Art. Actually, Wendy Solganic came up with that acronym, and it is a class, Journal into Your Art, that I have on Wendy Solganic's website, willowwanders.com. And we ran this class. It's still running. You can sign up anytime. And it's a wonderful class. So I've been sharing the journals here on my channel as well, and doing more lengthy flip throughs here. This is a journal that I came up with in the fall. And I'm starting to try and pick color stories for my journals. Its predecessor was like a lot of blues and greens and browns. My current one is really bright neons, and I'm trying to grow a little bit more grungy and do some grungier things in here. So that color story. Earlier in the year, I did like pinks and greens. So I try to mix it up each time, but also be really thoughtful about having a bit of a color theme. It also makes it even easier for me to use. So if you want to take this class, I highly recommend it. It's a class that combines mixed media techniques, some writing, and combining them in a way that can allow you to create a practice every day of sitting down for 15-20 minutes, not having to think about anything or worry about having it be Instagram worthy, and you're just doing this practice for yourself. So in this journal, I'm using a lot of my stencils. This is from my Hands and Birds and Flowers stencil set. And I had just come out with my first set of patterns. So I have a pattern set where I think this one is just called Triangles. So I have a lot of kind of triangle themes running through the journal. These are all part of the triangle set. And I love the idea of writing on waves. So I have a set called Organic Ocean that has waves. So that is just fun. And just working with the themes of fall. I love the colors of fall. I made fall trees. This is actually from, I think, the Autumn Impression set. So it actually has a lot of fall themed things in it, like birds, that sort of thing, moths. And again, it's all about just creating pages and then writing, combining the two. I think there's a bug on this page from the summer. This is another stencil that I created so that you could write on this person's body, because I just thought that is fun to kind of write on the figure. This is from my documenting set. And I love nature themes. My house is in the Pine Barrens, technically. Civilization is super close, but in a lot of ways it's not. Everything is like half an hour away. And there's lots of mushrooms and insects and amphibians and all kinds of things on the property. We have lots of birds, so I find lots of bird feathers. Sometimes we have turkeys. So I really incorporate a lot of what I see around me in nature, moths, on the property into my art, because in these journals, I'm kind of writing about what I'm experiencing every day. And I also want the time of the year to be kind of represented in these journals. So lots of colors and things like that. I should say that the watercolor palette is the watercolors that I use in this journal. There is a palette at little creative. I can put the link in there too that has all the colors that I used. It's called the Megan Quinlan set, I think. So I highly recommend it. It's just these colors, I'm still not over them. I love the purples and the maroons and the browns, colors that I never thought I would work with. And I just love them. This is probably my favorite color combo for this journal. I love these colors. Maybe I'll just redo it going forward. Some more of my faces. Sometimes I like to use my stencils, and sometimes I'll just make faces and then incorporate them into my journals. Another one of my paper doll stencils. Like here, this person, I just drew half of a face on the page, and then I used some clouds from my one of my stencil sets. I think it's my Magical Garden one that has the clouds. And I love like tip-ins and windows and drawers, just to, who doesn't love that, right? It's just so fun. And I usually put the date. I don't always work in order too. Like sometimes I might do a page and write here and then go back in time. So I do that frequently because it's just no pressure. I like to kind of mix it up. This is a Leaca Young stencil, but I put my own face on that. Tried to make it look a little bit more me, I guess, but I loved her hair, and it came with some fun word text, that sort of thing. Here's another one of her stencils. And some days I only have enough time to write just a few words, and some days I have enough time to really write. That's why I'll do some art, because sometimes that's all I have time for, is a little bit of art and a little bit of writing. And then I have to get back to life. My life right now, I'm in the very busy period of teens and toddlers. And well, they're not really toddlers anymore. My 4-year-old's going to be 5, but it's a busy time. So, and I also created a lot of words and phrases that I am constantly writing in my journals. So when I started making stencils, I was sure to create some that reflected a lot of the kind of phrases of inspiration that I use in my journals. Something really important. This was a funny spread, not funny, but like my eldest child, who is now 19, kind of went away to college this year. And so this is me with the 3 little birds who are left in the nest. I thought that was really symbolic. And sometimes I'll have fun, like if I like a layout, I'll just do it a lot of times. These are part of my journal motif stencils. So when I created those, sometimes I'll actually do a lot of samples in my journals. And I created those when I launched the class so that there were specific stencils that fit really well. These flowers, I did some borders, stuff like that. And it's fun to kind of play around with everything and make it work. And just like spaces for me to doodle. That's such a big part of who I am. Again, it is, you know, I like making shapes. I like doing watercolors. I like doing original art, you know, like this. But sometimes I just like the meditative process of doodling. And adding just some doodles to shapes. And so I always kind of create things so that I can do that. So a lot of my stencils have big open spaces so I can add to them. It's just really important to me. Here's some flaps that have little sayings, and I could do some writing in there if I decide to go back and do that. Here's another one that I loved. Super fun. I think these are Leaca Young stencils again. And I always drink chai. I actually have one right here. I'm a chai addict. So I wrote grabbing my cup of chai because I always am drinking chai. And my hands. I love the motif of hands. It's very, I kind of was raised with a lot of, Eastern philosophy in my house. These remind me of like the Buddha's hands, which is very meaningful to me. Same day surgery. This is probably the time that my little guy had to have same day surgery. It was very scary for a mama. He was fine. Today is the big day. Some days I just, I'm just doodling and a little bit of writing. And I like to incorporate too, like my other products like washi tape or things like that. I love silhouettes in my journals. This is from a stencil set I did with Stencil Girl. And these are all the phrases that I'm always trying to remind myself. Like you can start right now. That's such an important one for me. I feel like I've gotten a late start my whole life, but it's still going and it's going well. So little mantras to remind myself. Halloween time. This was funny because this is how artists work. So like I have this stencil. I use it all the time. Here's another version of that stencil. This is a version of this stencil. This is the prototype, so she's bigger, but it's the same one. Anyway, it was Halloween and I was like, oh, it's Halloween. I'll put a mask on her. And I like fell in love with this idea, this mask. So just keep your eyes peeled. I just love this kind of idea. I was like, oh my God, I love how that turned out so much. Just more faces and words. This is another Leaca Young hairdo. And I put one of my faces on her stencil there. Super, super fun. And it's fun to page through these too. I'll make them, and I do look back. It's such a way to remember what was going on in time. Like I can look at this page here and this page here and remember that was what I was doing around Halloween. So that's the mindset that I was in. And I always tell people I tend to leave a few blank pages in the backs of my journals so that I don't feel pressure to like finish it. Like if I'm done, I'm done. I might have some blank pages and that's okay. And I also leave them for marketing purposes. Like if I want to use stencils, but they don't go in one color story, maybe I could do it on another set. So like I did this later on for fall. Just a good finish for fall. So I'm going to keep trying to flip through these journals. I'll put all the links to any of the products that I mentioned in my little description. And I'll probably try to do more of these to share these with you. But if you haven't signed up for this course, I highly recommend it, especially this time of year. It's January right now, 2023. And it's such a great place to make a commitment for yourself to show up. It's like my big theme this year. Like if my word of the year is probably, even though it's kind of a hyphenated word or two words, self-care. And that's what these journals are to me. They're my little self-care practice where I have a routine. I come and use them every day. And it just brings me such comfort. I describe these journals as my little best friends. They're always here waiting for me. They don't judge me. And that's really important to me. It helps me process all the curves and bumps and turns that life takes. So I'll be sharing more of these with you guys. Hopefully that will be interesting for all of you out there. And if you haven't already, I'm gonna start just mentioning to please subscribe to my channel on these videos because it's really helpful to the artist. You know, the more subscriptions you have, the better. And it will allow me to maybe do more things with this channel in the future. And I will see you back here next time.